In today's video, I'm going to share some tips for developing a silver stacking strategy. You don't want to just start buying bullion without considering a couple of important factors first. I'll be covering the most important of these factors and also sharing with you some mistakes and pitfalls to avoid. Whether you're stacking for the first time or you've been at it for a while, it's always a good idea to sit back and strategize when it comes to your precious metals investments. So stick around, it's going to be a great video. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Let's talk about silver stacking strategy. I'm not in the business of providing investment advice, but I have been stacking for a while, and over the years my thinking on stacking has evolved. And here are 5 tips that I think every stacker should consider when devising a silver investment strategy. Number 1, decide why you are stacking. Do you have large quantities of cash and want to get the absolute most weight in bullion for your money? Well, some large silver bars might be the answer. Are you preparing for collapse and you want something to barter with after the shizzy hits the fizzy? Then you'll probably want to have at least some 90% US silver coinage on hand. Maybe you're looking to start stacking, but you want the most recognizable, divisible, and uniform investment possible. Monster boxes or mint rolls of US silver eagles could be a good approach. Are you picking up some coins to give as gifts? Maybe something a little more fun like a panda or a koala is the way to go. You might only have a few bucks to invest at the moment, but you do want to get your hands on some silver and you don't want to pay a high premium. Then stack up some generic 1-ounce bars or rounds. Or maybe you're a little bit of all these things and you're just a little obsessed with stacking up bars of shiny metal and you love how they feel like real pirate treasure. And you make YouTube videos. In that case, you're probably going to really love some bars from the Scottsdale Mint. You get the idea. These are just a few examples, but the point is every stacker is going to have different motivations for acquiring precious metals, and each stacker's motivations will have an influence on the specific type of silver bullion product that best suits their needs. So before you get started, identify and articulate your specific motive or motives, and see if that can help inform your stacking decision. If you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider sharing it with your friends. I really appreciate all of you helping to spread this information. Tip number 2, determine where you will obtain your metal. For the vast majority of stackers out there, buying either from a local coin shop or a large online bullion dealer is going to be the best way to go about purchasing your precious metals. Now, I'm not saying to never buy coins or bullion from private individuals, small eBay sellers, estate sales, pawn shops, garage sales, or Craigslist, but if you decide to go this route, please be careful. Counterfeit bullion products are definitely out there, and just keep in mind that if a deal seems too good to be true, it's quite likely that it is, and you don't want to get scammed. If you're not sure where to start, try checking out SD Bullion, JM Bullion, APMEX, or Gainesville Coins. These are some of the most reputable online dealers, and I have personally purchased bullion from all of them multiple times and have always had a good experience. And if you really like the look of these Scottsdale bars, you can buy these directly from the Scottsdale Mint either on their website or on their eBay store, which in my experience sometimes has better prices. I'll put the links in the description of this video to all these dealers for anyone who would like to check them out. That being said, if you're looking for some of the more obscure bullion products out there, hand-poured or vintage bars for example, certain products may only be available from select sources. If this is the type of silver bullion you're in the market for, I would suggest checking any local coin shops in your area, or you might check out the PMs for Sale subreddit. I've not purchased any bullion on Reddit myself, but the subreddit has a review system where users can verify good transactions they have with one another, so there is at least a reputation score of sorts that you can go by. As with any secondary market transaction, use caution. Tip number 3, choose a storage option. Something you will need to consider when stacking physical metal is where you will store it. While bullion is a very safe investment in the sense that it has no counterparty risk and is entirely removed from the financial system, there is an added element of risk in that now you are taking responsibility for securing your investment yourself. I would suggest not keeping your bullion under your mattress or in your sock drawer for starters, and at the bare minimum invest in some type of safe or strongbox. I won't get too deeply into the topic of storage, as that is really a subject that could take up a whole video, or even multiple videos. Suffice to say that you want somewhere secure to keep your metal. Also, it's important to note that a safe is not an ultimate protection against theft, and really serves as more of a deterrent, and that with the exception of a concrete, reinforced maximum security vault, most commercially available safes can be penetrated through determined effort. You could reduce risk by spreading your stack's location out so as not to put all your eggs in one basket, and it might also be wise to store your metal somewhere other than your residence. There are countless options for keeping your stack safe, just don't be afraid to get creative. As many stackers are fond of saying, they've lost their stack in an unfortunate boating accident, and it most likely resides in a secret place only they are aware of. Whether this is a buried cache out in the woods, or perhaps silver bars frozen into a block of ice cream, who knows? The point is, figure out where you're going to keep the metal before you obtain it. Storage considerations might even determine which precious metals you stack, as gold is obviously much easier to store than silver, considering its much higher value to volume ratio. And if your situation dictates that storing your own metal is simply out of the question or too risky, you might consider allocated storage. Mike Maloney's company over at goldsilver.com is one example of a dealer that offers allocated storage for investors, and here is what his site has to say about it. Allocated storage, which means that you will receive the exact same type of bullion you put into storage. For example, if you put 10 1-ounce gold eagles into storage, you'll get 10 1-ounce gold eagles when you decide to take physical receipt, but they will not necessarily be the exact same individual coins you originally purchased, offers the best combination of security and value. I view allocated storage as a good option for those who simply cannot store bullion themselves, but still would prefer to have their wealth stored in sound money outside of the banking system. Consider that allocated storage confers many of the benefits of physical delivery, such as keeping your wealth safe from bank shutdowns, bail-ins, and inflation. Tip number 4, dollar cost average. This one's important, especially for new stackers. I know silver is amazing and we all love it, and honestly, right now, in my opinion, the price is right for more stacking. Inflation is clearly on the move up. Assets like real estate, stocks, and crypto have all made huge gains and seem to be in potential bubble territory, and yet silver is still well below its 1980s high of $50. If you adjust for inflation, even just using the CPI, silver's current price is a ridiculously undervalued 15% of its previous high. But wait, now is a great buying opportunity, but going all in on an asset is incredibly risky. Even though physical silver is, in my opinion, the most undervalued asset in the world at the moment, that doesn't mean it can't go lower and become even more undervalued. This is why bullion purchases are best made incrementally. Stack some silver, keep some powder dry, and then if silver falls, stack a little more. Silver is traditionally quite a volatile asset, and its price has the potential to move up extremely rapidly, which I strongly believe will happen in the relatively near future when this fiat house of cards goes to pieces. But the flip side of that coin, so to speak, is that corrections in the metal can be violent to the downside. And when those violent corrections occur, you want to make sure that you have some powder dry to take advantage of the sale. So don't buy all your bullion in one shot. Try to buy the dips, keep your dollar cost average down, and make it a habit to regularly allocate a portion of investable capital into hard assets. Tip 5. Have an exit strategy. Sometimes I wish my stack was a little more uniform, as that would make inventorying it a bit easier and also would make an eventual exit from my physical position, if there ever is one, a bit easier. At the same time, though, I am happy to have some diversification in my stack, as some bullion products are better suited to various needs than others. 90% constitutional silver's utility for barter, for example. The point is that planning how you will eventually liquidate or dispose of your bullion holdings is important to at least give some thought to. For example, it will almost certainly be easier and faster to sell boxes or rolls of silver eagles than it would be to sell a mix and matched collection of generic silver bars or rounds. Not to say that these aren't still extremely liquid assets, but having a uniform stack of government minted coins will be easier to sell, particularly if you want to sell a large amount of metal with very short notice. If you're stacking more as a collector and simply enjoy long-term storage of wealth and precious metals, or perhaps you are hoping to leave some generational wealth behind for your descendants, a more varied and eclectic stack should be just fine. Or it's possible that you wouldn't ever dream of trading your shiny silver for some filthy fiat scrap of paper, and you're just waiting for the day that society resets so you can trade some mercury dimes for a can of beans and a bag of rice. If that's the case, you'll probably be best sticking to 90% constitutional silver, or junk silver as it's sometimes referred to. So, in conclusion, it can be helpful to give a little forethought to strategy before you begin converting your hard earned fiat into real money. But also, don't overthink it and don't get caught up in analysis paralysis. At the end of the day, silver is silver. This property, silver's fungibility, is one of the characteristics that makes silver money. And really, the best way to measure your stack is by overall weight, not necessarily by the characteristics of the individual pieces. However, spending a little time considering your overall and long-term silver stacking strategy may be helpful for informing your stacking decisions. And when it comes to investments, it's always good to have a plan. So, what's your silver stacking strategy? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked this video and would like to learn a bit more about some of the bullion I'm stacking, check out my guide to silver bullion bars right here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker out.